Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Now, in the latest episode of Russia's favorite fever dream, the Solovyov Show, Kremlin-friendly pundits have decided it's time to redraw the map of Europe again. Their hot take? Once Ukraine falls, any day now, just hang tight, it's only been over 3 years, Russia will help itself to the east and China will graciously accept the western part.
Китайцы могут вполне забрать Украину, возделывать ее, строить там, что хотят. По-моему, отличная идея, нет?
Так и будем.
Предложить. Сказать, вот если китайские товарищи хотят, разминировать все. Надо только решить, китайский или северокорейский. То есть, там, нет, свою часть мы забираем. А Львов прекрасный китайский город. Нет?
Слушайте, но...
Не нравится Львов китайский?
Нет.
А мне очень нравится.
Слушайте,
и, кстати, можно, да, и Ивано-Франкивский, вот это все, и вот русинов, а на их земле китайцы, очень хорошо.
The panel spoke with the confidence of someone dividing a birthday cake that they didn't bake at a party they weren't invited to. We'll take our half, China takes theirs, they said, as if Ukraine was a leftover pizza slice and not a sovereign country. It's international diplomacy meets monopoly, except the only get-out-of-jail-free cards are printed in Moscow. Now, the segment had all the ingredients of classic Kremlin comedy. Zero self-awareness, boundless imperial nostalgia, and a firm grasp on exactly none of modern geopolitics. It's like watching a group project in school where nobody did the reading, but everyone still wants an A. Terrifying? Sure, but also absurd enough to be straight out of Dr. Strangelove. Now, at this rate, next week they'll announce that Russia gets the moon and China can have Mars just as soon as the paperwork checks out. Now, we're sticking with Vladimir Solovyov, the Kremlin's very own philosopher, king of propaganda, who has rolled out another one of his infamous metaphors. You see, my mama always say, peace in Ukraine is like a bicycle. You need all the parts, not some. And what are those parts, you ask? Oh, just a little list of demands that reads like a hostage letter.
Потому что сейчас очередное предложение американцев публикуется. Значит, признание Крыма, не вступление Украины в НАТО. Ну, вроде как бы хорошо. Но ведь это часть велосипеда, причем маленькая. Я вот для себя так написал минимальные требования к тому, что должна из себя власть на Украине представлять. Ну, с точки зрения истории, с точки зрения здравого смысла. Вот, пожалуйста, первое. Дружественный режим. Нам предлагают дружественный режим? Нет, никак не могут начать эту перезагрузку. А что такое дружественный режим? Это обязательно. Если режим враждебный, так они завтра же начнут войну, они будут продолжать русофобскую пропаганду и будут ненавистью пылать, как сейчас это происходит. Дальше, пожалуйста, признающие территориальные изменения не касательно одного Крыма, а как минимум 5 регионов Российской Федерации. Нам это предлагается? Нет. Нам это не предлагается. Вот, пожалуйста, повод для следующей войны есть. Поэтому ключевой пункт в этом – маленькая армия. Вот нам это вообще сегодня никак не озвучивается. Вырывают кусочек из этого велосипеда. Говорят, вот смотрите, колесо, на нем мы поедем в мир. А вот еще смотрите, вот цепь, она крутится. Но все остальное-то нужно собрать вместе, и только тогда получится действительно полноценный мирный процесс. Нам нужен велосипед целиком, а не по частям.
So let's see. Ukraine must accept a friendly regime, read pro-Kremlin puppet, surrender its sovereignty, recognize Russia's land grab in Crimea, agree to a neutral status, and just to top it off, cut its military down to a size that couldn't defend a lunchbox. Voila, peace. That's not a bicycle, Vlad. That's a unicycle with a stick of dynamite taped to the seat. He then detours into May 9th Victory Day, a day that used to commemorate the Allied defeat of Nazi Germany, but only in Russia because the rest of the Allies celebrated the day before on May 8th. And now, in the Kremlin's hands, it's a day of historical cosplay with tanks rolling through Red Square and speeches rolling through alternative timelines. Solovyov bemoans that European leaders no longer want to celebrate it because the anti-Hitler coalition isn't in the EU. Now, let's be clear. Russia didn't invent the victory over Nazism. The Soviet Union was a key part of it, alongside the United States, United Kingdom, and yes, many parts of what is now the EU. And the reason EU leaders skip Moscow's May 9th pageantry isn't because they're hiding Nazi sympathies, it's because they don't want to sit front row while a dictator in a parade hat justify bombing hospital in Ukraine under the banner of never again. Now here's the truth, this whole metaphor isn't about peace, it's about submission. Solyov's bicycle is a ransom demand, a hostage theater with a splash of Cold War LARPing. And like all bad metaphors, it falls apart the second you pedal it uphill. Now, if your version of peace requires one country to kneel while another sharpens its knife, it's not a bicycle, it's a bear trap on wheels. Now, this next thing was supposed to be a routine government report in Shakonar in Tuva's Ulugham district. Officials gathered, PowerPoint slides at the ready, eager to discuss their 2024 achievements, or what they claim as such. But one local resident had a very different agenda and accidentally delivered the punchline of the year. Now, as the floor opened for public questions, a man stood up, visibly frustrated. Initially distracted, he tried to get his thoughts together until the Minister of Land and Property Relations tried to help clarify. That's when the dam broke.
Какой у вас вопрос? Вопрос в том, что когда перестанете воровать? У меня вопрос. Понимаете? Нормально давайте жить, нормально строиться. Не надо врать там.
Quote, when will you stop stealing? That's my question. You understand? He said, voice shaking. Let's live normally, built normally. No need to lie. Now cue nervous laughter from the officials, spontaneous applause from the audiences, who clearly felt the man has said the quiet part out loud. The moment caught on video quickly started circulating online as a rare unscripted burst of honesty in Russian local politics. It was equal parts tragic, telling, and let's be honest, a little slapstick political theater. To the officials, smile politely, nod approvingly, and whatever you do, don't answer the question. You don't want to mysteriously fall out the window. And welcome to another episode of Russia Points at Ukraine and Yells Nazi. Okay, what's the scandal this time? Well, according to Kremlin TV propagandist Vasty Nedely, Volodymyr Zelensky, the Jewish president of Ukraine, grandson of a Red Army veteran who fought Nazis, is allegedly honoring Nazis. So the Russian disinformation machine hinges the whole story on a few cherry-picked gotchas. The star of their fever dream? A 90-year-old man named Yaroslav Hunka, who once served in the SS Galicia division and was honored in Canada's parliament in 2023, not by Zelensky, not by Ukraine, by Canada. And the very next day, the Speaker of Canada's House of Commons resigned over the mistake, Trudeau apologized, Zelensky stood there blinking like the rest of us, wondering how the hell a literal Nazi made it past Canadian security. But Kremlin TV wasn't going to let that minor thing like facts ruin a perfectly good propaganda. They ran those clips like they were fresh proof of betrayal from Zelensky, the Nazi sympathizer. The real story? Zelensky had no idea who Hunka was because he wasn't briefed, because Canada didn't know. It was the parliament's blunder, not a planned tribute from Ukraine. Now, next on their list of evidence, a flag. Yes, Russia's disinfo warriors got real excited when Zelensky signed a flag from Ukraine's 103rd Territorial Defense Brigade, thinking it looked very similar to SS Galicia insignia, except it's based on the 13th century Galician Vaholian coat of arms. You see the difference here? Yeah, the only thing this shares with the SS symbol is the lion. Well, so does Gryffindor. You don't see me going around calling Dumbledore a Nazi. The Ukrainian government has actually condemned Galician SS veterans multiple times. In 2021, Zelensky's own office threatened prosecution against anyone glorifying them. That's a weird thing to do if you're allegedly hosting Nazi brunches on the side. Oh yeah, and let's not forget the pixelated conspiracy meme of Zelensky allegedly posing with Nazi patches, except that wasn't. That Galicia patch? Turns out it was from Ukraine's 1st Tank Brigade. That's a horse in armor right here. But close enough, said the disinfo squad. 4 legs? Gotta be Nazi. Now this all feeds into the denazification fairy tale that Putin used to excuse war crimes, missile strike on civilians, and shelling of apartment blocks. It's gaslighting on a geopolitical scale. Invade a country, kill its people, destroy its cities, and then claim that you're doing it to save them from themselves. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.